So welcome to the Better Everyday podcast. I'm here today with two of my favorite people at Dale. We got Amanda here, Chico filming, and then also Luke is here to talk about brand awareness. Hello, guys.
Hello, Rob.
Very good topic. So, that was good. That was so good.
That was the best one.
I know. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about brand awareness. A lot to unpack here. And I think you two are probably the best people to have a conversation about brand awareness, what it is, customer journey funnels. Is that linear? Is that messy? What's going on? So let's start from Luke. What is brand awareness?
The capacity for your audience to know who you are and what you stand for.
Amanda, same question to you.
I think brand awareness is about building a level of awareness as to not only your brand, but what it stands for amongst your relevant audiences or out in market. And ideally over time, it's building equity in that brand.
Great segue to the next question. You come from a world of media where brand awareness is a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You come from TVC, billboards, traditional media, programmatic, and Luke, you have more experience in performance marketing, right? So when we think of brand awareness, we always think about reach and impressions. So, Luke, in your perspective, what is actually doing in the customer journey, the brand awareness? Is it, creating demand? Is pushing people down the funnel? What is actually?
What is brand awareness doing?
Yeah.
So not everybody is ready to purchase at any given time. Brand awareness is about creating that awareness of the brand, the company, the services in the people that aren't ready to purchase. Then when they enter that stage, they are immediately thinking of you, your brand, and how you can solve that problem.
And this is the thing that comes to my mind when speaking to marketing managers and boards. You probably know. And there's an obsession now about measuring marketing efforts, right? The people are obsessed, attribution and stuff. And why are so many? We talk about performance marketing being so measurable, right? And accountable. Why so many brands then are so reliant on paid media and they're investing more and more? If we can't really measure that, or can we?
I think we can. The long and the short of it is, I think we're getting better at it, which is great. I feel there was this, over the last decade even, this huge shift towards ROI and the ability to put a measurement and data points, whether it's to stakeholders or, again, those within the business. But what we've learnt over time is that there are various ways in which we can measure success and brand across performance metrics, as well as brand uplift, brand search terms, multiple different ways. And I think as an industry, we're getting better at that.
You're working on something. I saw something always like.
So the tool or the resource that Kieran and I are working on is essentially looking at share of search, which is your brand search relative to your competitors. Over time, that gives you, it's a proxy for more in-depth brand research, but at a very, very high level, all we want to do is increase the amount of people that are looking for our brand. So that particular metric is, I feel, a good representation of it and should be able to quantify and communicate changes over time if the work that we're doing is impacting brand awareness.
And coming from a performance background, I mean, mainly back in the days, but I still see a lot of brands obsessed with the performance side of things. And do you think that they are optimizing short-term gains or performance at the detriment of long-term demand creation? Because that's really what brand awareness does, right?
I feel, again, as an industry and as a whole, we're realising the opportunity cost in doing that. And it's taken a little bit of time. So with the significant surge in digital channels and fragmentation in the media landscape, when we shifted to, data reporting, transparency and the shift towards ROI, a lot of clients' budgets were shifted
completely,
significantly to the point of major large global brands shifted 100% to digital and bottom of the funnel. But over time, they saw the impact and the opportunity cost in doing that. So then they've reverted back to reinvesting in brand. And I feel we're in this really exciting space where you can see clients understand the importance of how both can complement one another. And that's what I love about the Dilate team is we understand the role that all elements of the funnel have, all channels have in driving optimum outcomes for clients.
The ecosystem.
100%. Yeah.
What problem does brand awareness solve that performance marketing can't?
Mm-hmm.
What does brand awareness solve that performance marketing can't?
Yeah.
So I think we think about those two things as like very like traditional media and programmatic.
Mm-hmm.
They're put in the brand awareness category, whereas what we do, social media ads, Google ads, is typically thought of as paid and activation. I would argue that you can achieve brand awareness with paid and activation style platforms. The best example of this is that not all traditional media is brand awareness. And the distinction between the two is that if you put a massive sale in a newspaper, that's not brand awareness. That's sales activation.
That's activation.
So that platform isn't exclusively
No.
brand awareness. And I would say the same for, as I said, same for the other channels. The difference between the two is, or the thing we want to try and achieve is that the audience knows and understands our brand, our product, understands the message. So as long as we're getting engaged views and that they're fully understanding what we're saying, that to me is brand awareness and brand building.
I feel that's a whole conversation point there. And we've talked about it at length before. I think to add to your question there, Rob, I believe what does awareness solve to that performance may not? Again, I feel they work hand in hand. So when you have effective brand awareness and you have brand equity, you naturally see direct correlations to shorter purchase cycles, lower CPAs, lower cost per leads, a higher engaged qualified audience. So that's the impact effective awareness has on those elements. So really it solves to the same challenge and I guess objective for every client. It just supports that process and you see it across multiple elements.
Yeah.
You've got to zoom out, right? You can't just take 1 month. You've got to see like
over time.
Years, as you said, over time, what has changed and has this impacted, the short-term campaign.
Yeah. To add to that, and what we can look at now is the brand search traffic on our site.
Huge.
Hands down is
Agree.
the highest converting traffic across
Agree.
all businesses. I would argue, hands down, highest converting traffic. So what can we do to build on that? And
I think to that, and I think he's absolutely 100% agree, but take a step back, what makes that prospect search? Typically because they've seen, again, an awareness channel in play, a TVC, at back of a bus, something has triggered them to respond and then they've actively searched. But in that active engagement, it's a higher caliber prospect.
Let's jump onto that customer journey funnel, because most marketing models assume there's like awareness, consideration, conversion. It's just data funnel regurgitated in different ways. People just use a synonym, but realistically it's the same thing. Does it help people when making a decision of purchasing something? Is that like always the same?
I feel it's an uber simplified version of how people work through that customer journey. I don't think it's linear. We've also talked about this in length. I also feel that it should be bespoke for every brand and every product and varies depending on their life stage as well.
B2B and B2C is also
100%.
by my experience, very different, very complex.
Agree.
There's different
Agree.
buyers and decision makers, and there's emotional buying versus more like data driven buying, which is more B2B. Many differences, but
so I think more than a framework that applies to all businesses, I think companies use the framework to simplify our understanding of a funnel and give the team a consistent set of tools and terminology to be able to refer to those steps. Then they'll apply it to a business. So totally, every business is completely different. The sales cycle is different for every business. And if we're talking about full customer experience, it's not a linear. It's not a linear funnel. We want to be re-engaging those customers and extending customer lifetime value and getting them back through that funnel.
Have you heard of the messy middle before?
Yeah.
So that's how Google defines it.
Yeah.
Some studies where we don't really know. And I'd say this consciously, I know that we don't know what people do. Like, and myself as well, when I'm buying something, just go and go around it. And it's not really linear. It's just messy. And realistically, if someone is sent you that we know exactly what happens with everything, it's just a lie.
Yeah.
We can assume that something happens and we have data to show that, but like it's always like we're always guessing, right? At the best of our ability. So why then so many brands and marketing teams still, works towards this linear funnel? I don't take into consideration that users might go zigzag or like in circles. Why is that? Luke gave a very good answer when he said, is that easiest way to provide a team with the right tools to do their work?
Yeah, as much as you want to cater and tailor and be bespoke for the business, we also want to be able to simplify it down into terms that clients and people can understand.
Agree.
And I don't know if you've ever tried, but visualizing a circle on an Excel spreadsheet is very difficult. So
yeah, you can do it though.
Or a dashboard.
You can.
Excel can do everything.
Yeah.
Love Excel. Never lets you down. But the question is then, going back to the awareness phase, if most buyers aren't ready to buy because they are in this loop of indecision, what does awareness,
It ensures.
what is the role that awareness plays in this journey?
I think it ensures when the trigger occurs, when there is an immediate need, that your brand is top of mind. That's the ideal scenario. That's awareness.
What's your answer to that?
Yeah, I think awareness is also about making them aware of the problem. Like if the customer is completely unaware that they have a pain point, some top of funnel awareness-based ad creative should highlight that pain point too. So
agitate a problem, show them there's a problem sometimes.
Yeah,
go with that. And so there's debate, and I saw this many times. I actually like it. I think I spoke to you a couple of times. And this is from referencing Byron Sharp and about thinking is 5% of people in market and 95% of people off market. That's kind of a very simple way to reference the funnel. Would you agree with that? How do we and your customer decision framework that you engineered here, I think really answers to that. Like the answer to that problem is, how do I move people from off market to in market? How do we move as many people as possible from the 95% to my 5%? Did you agree with that definition of funnel? Not funnel really, definition of customer in market versus off market.
Yes, somewhat. But definitely bringing that decision forward, making the problem top of mind and creating demand. There's different ways of motivating that and moving them from the 95 to the 5 based on the business and the product that we're promoting. But for the most part, yeah, it's that's definitely the objective of.
Because if this is true, does performance marketing know 95% of buyers every time?
Does it what, sorry?
It ignores 95% of the market.
Yes.
Performance marketing really focuses on the 5%, right? So,
or to the point Luke made before, is performance channels don't only have to drive conversion. So again, depending on the objective or the role, it may not be 100% exclusively.
So how can we as marketers justify an investment into market to an audience that won't be ready to buy in months or years? Because this is something that probably came to discussion, say, how do I justify? Usually massive investment into, creating, mental availability and brand awareness when I'm not going to see returns for months or years. And then how do I justify to my CFO I saw a video on Facebook about, this guy that, is generating 25 times ROI. It's all bullshit, by the way. But yeah,
and it's
let's justify. Let's talk about that because that's a very important.
And it's so difficult to pinpoint what has impacted the marketing at any given moment. And that's exactly why I want to get this tool up and running. All we want to be able to do is indicate that there was an improvement in brand awareness and then be able to tie that back to revenue, whatever metric we're looking at. If we can correlate those two things, fantastic. Taking into consideration the sales cycle, the length of the sales cycle, I think that'll be huge to be able to put that out to any business, any new client, and be like, look, all of these stats that Byron Sharp and the long and the short of it have around brand awareness and the efficacy of it, fantastic, great. But it's a little bit far removed from the brands that we're dealing with and what we're talking about in Australia. Yeah. So if we can do it and demonstrate it for ourselves and any other prospective client easily, fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's what's exciting is giving these measurements clients accessibility to these measurement tools that they may not necessarily be able to tap into through traditional forms of awareness assessment.
So let me ask you a challenging question, maybe challenging.
Oh God, here we go.
Awareness and attention.
Yeah.
So if reach is what we track, right, when to measure awareness.
Yep.
What as marketers, what should we be tracking to measure attention?
I think attention is a huge piece of awareness, and I feel that it's emerging as well as being a significant contributing factor. To your point, Luke, and I know we've talked about this, not all reach is considered the same. A 6-second YouTube bumper ad in comparison to a 60-second cinema ad, I don't feel reach is not equivalent to one another.
Absolutely.
Correct. So I think that the differentiator between those two is attention as well. And I think, research shows anything over 2.5 seconds is considered effective reach, but anything exponentially thereafter has a direct impact on recall.
So, and I think it ties into creative and stuff, but how do we split between the absorption of a message versus just exposure? Because I can be exposed to many ads. And TV is a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
I watch Channel 9, I watch the news, and there's ad rotating, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'm on my phone and stuff, but I'm not being exposed to it, but I'm not really absorbing it. Or even a YouTube app when I'm watching, a futsal match in Thailand, I have to, absorb these 2 minutes of ads that are sometimes relevant to me. That's just being exposed to it. But how brands can make sure that that message is absorbed?
It's a good question. I would have thought.
I told you it was a good question.
I would have thought,
I didn't tell you.
I would have thought you would have been more aware of the subliminal messaging that was going on. So you don't have to be fully attentive. There will be some residue that you are, and like residual impact of the ads that you're exposed to. But yeah, obviously the primary goal is full on engaged attention. And I think more than reach, it's about shifting towards looking at metrics like engaged views as an indicator of
completion rate,
where we're getting that quality. And I think when we put dollar metrics next to that, like dollars per engaged view, that is a way better indication of reach and awareness than.
Yeah. And I feel, to complement that, but I feel, to your point, Rob, when you are hit with an impact, that is more effective when you have, again, an additional channel further up the funnel. If that's a 30-second TVC, all of a sudden your 6-second bumper is more effective because there's resonance there. So when we talk media solutions, in an ideal world, anything in addition to 3 additional channels, so 3+ more channels, drives greater ROI. For that reason, they all complement one another. So I think that, again, it's how do we all work in tandem? We can't run 6 months worth of 60-second TVCs on linear TV, but we can definitely launch with a stronger platform and then complement that with more efficient channels to drive frequency and reinforcement.
Yeah,
So-
100%.
Yes, and my next question. So the critics to the would say that awareness campaigns are just very expensive and it's guesswork, right? So how do we separate strategic awareness and do it effectively versus the spray and pray? How do we do that?
I challenge anyone these days who are buying media with guesswork. I feel we've got access
We're
to
more informed than
correct.
before, absolutely.
More data than ever before, more research and completely independent third-party research with no bias, so we're able to inform those decisions. The level of reporting that we can now achieve, even in awareness channels and digital channels, connected TV, for example, is we're able to clarify and see who we've exposed our ad to and then their actions thereafter. And I think that's what's exciting about the insights we're getting.
So is that targeting, media placement? Is that creative? What makes a difference in there?
I think when we talk about absolutely placement, building audience, overlaying data, addressable media, reporting, transparency, all of these elements, and I still say with all, our creative hats on, it still impacts overall results. 41% of the equation is largely attributed to the effectiveness of creative. So I say you could have the best channel recommendation, audience targeting is optimum. But if that message does not resonate with your desired audience, clearly there's a direct impact there on results.
Yeah. And to add to that, it's about keeping it simple. Simple messaging that tie back to your brand associations that will have long-term implications for the perception of the brand is super important.
Yep.
So when you're playing a large-scale awareness, across TV, radio, out of home, what are you optimizing for? For us, usually people come asking for a very specific commercial target, which is usually like return on investment or sales leads.
I think there's two parts to that. I think it's not only what do we recommend as the optimum channel to drive the outcome, and I say channel, but I also say format, duration, platform, etc. But then also what we're optimizing towards is fundamentally reach, 1+ reach, and also completed views. So again, ensuring that if we're running 30-second ads, that we're utilizing formats that are getting through our audiences exposed to that message in totality.
Right. So now this is a bit of a look, but what makes a brand message stick?
There's a lot of different ways that you can make a message sticky and ingrained into the mind of your audience. There's tactics and tricks, like jingles, but ultimately,
Great guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Works.
It does, right?
Yeah.
And if I was to go do, who would I be talking about?
Yeah, definitely. Even if you put me a red billboard with a yellow line, I would probably know. And the word chips, probably think of McDonald's.
Yeah.
They literally just did.
Yeah.
I know. That's why it came to my mind. So, powerful, right?
Yeah. So those sort of elements are about obviously one way of creating stickiness and recall, but it's the entire brand, taking that, boiling it down into its key parts, and keeping the message simple. I think at the end of the day.
So, do you think creative is sometimes undervalued? The power of creative.
Yeah, I think the best brands and the best creative work when those companies have a really good understanding of who they are, who they stand for, and who their audience is. And the problems arise when there's too many cooks in the kitchen, they try and dilute their message, or they don't understand who they are. Like in the Jaguar case, they went totally off the rails and hurt themselves irreparably.
A business never invested, and it's probably a case of many of our clients. They never invested properly in awareness. How should they start thinking about it? What's important to know for them? And because a lot of these businesses that we work with today, there was more and they're growing, and now they're at a point where they exhausted all their short-term options that they need to go and sort of graduate and go and play in the big league sometimes. So what do you think? How do you should start thinking?
I think the burden of responsibility is on us as marketers to be able to communicate to our businesses that haven't really dabbled in this space before that it is an option for them and that it will work for them and achieve their goals. If we can't do that, then we're just waiting for the customer to come to us and go, hey, I've heard about this brand awareness thing. I want to go down that path, which I think is a pretty flawed approach. So how do we get our clients to move in that direction? As I said, burden of responsibility lies with us. If we can do that and demonstrate the impact of it with businesses that they identify with. And
how do you prove the financial impact of that? What would you show me to convince me that works?
Prior to a client considering an awareness campaign.
I'm always done performance marketing, short term.
Yeah. I think, to Luke's point, we are specialists in this space. We have worked across so many varying categories, so many different clients, and we have fundamentally seen the impact of brand investment on performance campaigns and the metrics to support that.
What are the metrics to support that? So if you have a case study today,
yes,
what would you show me? And it doesn't have to be a real case study. I'd be like, I am a CFO.
Yep.
I just don't understand marketing. It's a line in my profit and loss.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do I have to spend another, I don't know, 200 grand a year into something that is not going to drive sales today? And
I would show them the multiple conversion points that we have the ability to track throughout the funnel to show them what that investment does, from prospects landing on their website or dedicated landing pages to soft conversions, brochure downloads, scouring their pages, phone inquiries, etc., and then to those end conversions, showing you that we're having a direct impact in influencing those prospects through the entire customer journey.
And you?
Yeah. At a certain point in time, there's going to be diminishing returns on your investment in channels like Google Ads and Facebook.
Yeah.
How do we increase the number of customers that are interested in and aware of the product, aware of the pain point? Brand awareness.
I also think
prospecting, broader
what I would do is also, I also think that your over reliance on paid channels, on performance paid channels, it's extremely dangerous because those platforms are built for the cost to go up because it's an auction system and it's getting noisier. A lot of people are playing in it, and then obviously, I say this to clients: if your cost per acquisition today is $100, the next year is $100 putting the same budget, you probably have had 20% efficiency gains because the CPCs are higher, costs more to reach people. So that's what I will do. But I also will do, and for many clients, some of the clients in your portfolio is, this is where the way with short-term marketing, this is where they are today after 2 years. By spending more, and the bottom line has changed dramatically. And I think we saw some of those.
Your constant challenge is trying to indicate and illustrate that something is going to work before anybody's really committed to doing anything. And so, for a PT, how do you convince your customers that you're going to be able to deliver a result for them? You could AI a picture of them with a sweet physique, but the reality of it is, until they start doing the thing, until they get 6 months down, 6 months, a year down the road, they're not going to see those results. So, we have to rely on empirical historical evidence to be able to demonstrate capacity to create change.
If a brand today comes to you, can only choose one strategy, either performance or brand building, which one will create more growth over 5 years?
I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket, but it'll come down to the business and their budget. If realistically, if they don't have the budget to invest in brand awareness, their business isn't at that stage, totally fine. But I would never recommend a brand awareness campaign and for a business of that size.
Yeah. Not dissimilar to Luke, I would suggest as a bare minimum you start with the performance channels. If budgets are tight, you're better off utilising those funds as effectively and efficiently as possible, with the intention that with some growth, you broaden that media mix. So that's where you'd have a client and you'd say, okay, if we get these runs on the board and we work with them, they will reinvest those funds into the marketing pool, grow together, so that when you're in a position to utilize some of those awareness channels effectively, you then again push down into performance.
All right, let's close the this podcast with a question for the marketers out there and clients. What is the biggest misconception marketers will have about brand awareness today?
That it can't be tracked. That there is a massive
Love you. I just can't be tracked. Here's my five-corner
Yeah,
bluff.
it's a misconception. I think I agree with you on that, Luke. And it's exciting to show them how it can be done now.
The attribution of the attribution to various channels is only achievable on paid media, social media, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the stuff that we're looking at, brand awareness and tracking that, aligning that with revenue improvements in revenue over time, we can attribute the impact of this stuff back to the work that we were doing. So it requires us to look at different metrics and different ways of evaluating things, which everybody's resistant to change. I understand that, but
that's how human beings work.
Well, I think again, when if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Might be a mentality, but you don't know what's possible. Correct. So you're like, we're getting leads, and we've had a consistent flow. The question is, what could it be with a level of awareness in market, and that's where you see all of those key metrics improve.
And this is you don't need a brand. Drop shipping for me is literally just like, give an example about drop shipping. How many people say, I'm just gonna build a Shopify store and just sell cheap whatever that is, and they don't have a brand. And guess what happens after a couple of years? Days, not even it's months or days, that the store just doesn't work anymore because you don't have a brand, you don't have a reason, you don't have a story to tell people why you're selling, I don't know, phone covers made of, if you tell them they're made of some natural materials recycled in a country, you're connected to a charity, you do it for a specific reason. I don't know. That changed everything, creates brand, and I personally would choose the story.
100%.
I wouldn't. I'm not going to act like I'm above a cheap price point. If the value feels like it's there,
I do buy cheap too. I know. I always buy cashback. And it's like I'm.
Would you buy the cheapest house? I think it depends on what you're purchasing.
Yeah.
Toothpaste, possibly not an issue, but when you're building a house, would you go with the cheapest supplier or the brands that trust, authorities?
Well, thanks for look, Amanda, for being with me and talk about brand awareness. I always love these chats. We always have these chats at the table or at the water cooler chats. Guys, subscribe to the podcast. Please listening to it. We have a lot of guests coming, a lot of good things to talk about. See you next time.